Hi, hello, and welcome. My name is Jared Michael Kubokawa, teaching at Aichi University in Japan. This is presentation 1436, I think. I'm speaking about perspectives on L1 and L2 relations, specifically translingual writing practices in second language poetry. Great, let's get started. So what is translingual writing? Okay. Sometimes called multilingual writing or plurilingual writing in European contexts. Essentially, it is writing in more than one language or in a language different than the user's primary one. And of course, this has an ancient pedigree since the beginning of the written word, dating back all the way to the Phoenicians and other cultures appropriating their alphabet for essentially business purposes, bookkeeping, actually. Now, these translingual writing practices, they continued from the beginning of writing all the way up until about 18th century Europe, when, as Yasmin Yildiz argues, the monolingual paradigm emerges. And she conceptualizes where we are now as essentially the post-monolingual condition, okay? So, well-known authors, multilingual authors such as Samuel Beckett, who originally spoke Irish, Joseph Conrad speaking Polish, and of course Nabokov and Russian. They essentially ignored this monolingual paradigm, and they wrote novels in multiple languages. Now, they kind of this kind of traces the beginnings of the recent critical movement in academia, titled the multilingual turn. We've had a number of turns. This one, Lourdes Ortega kind of commented on that. She calls it a critique of monolingual ideologies and research and pedagogy, of course. So critiquing monolingual ideologies. So thus, taking this kind of multilingual or translingual approach to language pedagogy, it could offer an alternative stance on second language writers. Okay, this is important. So, as Kanagaraja argues, L2 writers can actually be resourceful rather than deficient in their linguistic, rhetorical, and cultural breadth, as well as compositional, because they bring all of these L1 resources to the table if they can transfer that to their L2. So this is, of course, a novel take on L2 writers and language learners. In most cases, we would consider a second language user, a second language writer, deficient in their breadth or their resources. But in fact, we can look at them as resourceful. So let's talk about this L1 and L2 relationship. What is the place of the L1 in the L2 writing? So the L1 is ubiquitous, especially in EFL contexts. So addressing the place of the L1 is no easy task. It's multifaceted. Okay, but I'm going to essentially talk about it in 4 aspects related to code switching or code meshing, multi-competences such as rhetorical, compositional, linguistic, which we talked about before, language transfer, transferring L1 knowledge into the L2, whether that's positive or negative, and translingualism and multilingualism as a concept. Okay, so I will focus on the pedagogical implications, okay? So talking about language classrooms, since it is the TESOL 2022 conference. So talking about linguistic, rhetorical, compositional concepts and strategies in second language writing, okay? And then I'm going to look at it specifically through my course where I utilize second language creative writing and second language poetry. All right. And we'll introduce some student examples. So the background of my course, the teaching and research domain, is a communication skills course that I call second language creative writing poetry. It's an elective. They're university students, basic users, anywhere from A1 to B1 and then CEFR. The class size is anywhere between 5 and 15 students. We meet for once a week in a semester, so 15 times for 90 minutes each. And the poems today are taken from 3 different semesters of this class. Okay, and we publish a literary journal at the end of each semester. And we'll talk about Shin haiku, which is a form of haiku, a Japanese poetic form, except it does not adhere to the syllabic structure, the 575, and open form poetry. Great, let's get started. So here are the literary journals that I spoke of. These are 3 of the journals that we call Seasons and EFL Literary Journal. And I will post PDFs of this, and you can download them if you like, so you can read the students' EFL poetry and share them as you wish. Okay, so let's talk about second language creative writing, okay? Specifically L2 poetry as an excellent venue for efficacious L1 in the L2 or translingualism in second language writing. Okay, and the reasons why it is an excellent venue can be, 1, because poetry does not follow academic writing conventions. People have, number 2, poetic license. The L1 in the L2 can be seen as an artistic choice for various reasons. And 3, L2 writers, they sometimes lack familiarity with genre expectations, especially in an ESL context. However, free verse poetry has few conventions, and thus writers have the freedom to express themselves using either their L1 or L2 resources. So we're going to talk about some examples. We're going to talk about linguistic concepts, rhetorical and compositional concepts. Linguistic ones such as code meshing, and code switching. Rhetorical concepts such as onomatopoeia, the style and topic of poetry, and the use of time, different rhetorical uses of time. Compositionally, we're going to talk about employing Japanese forms such as haiku and shin haiku, which I mentioned, and also renga or tanka or other stylistic forms that can be kind of put into English poetry. So let's look at some examples. Here we go. So first, we're going to talk about code switching or code meshing. Okay, and specifically in these examples, transliteration. Okay, of the word kotatsu, you see the green arrow here, and yukata. So to begin, well, let's read the poems first. Devil's Trap. I wouldn't like to move even one step. Once I enter, I can't leave it. I can never beat it. It's a kotatsu. And this, of course, is a kotatsu. This heated table, it's just a table with a blanket over it, and there's a small heater underneath. And in the wintertime, the family sits around the table to have dinner or a drink or to chat because it's warm and comfy. And so how strange would it be to say, I can never beat it. It's a heated table. But using the word kotatsu immediately brings you to that Japanese context and brings some cultural depth to it. And this is a shin haiku, an example of a shin haiku. So you still have the 3 lines. English often uses a dash or a comma or a colon as the turn in the poem. Okay, and also in shin haiku haiku is required to use a seasonal word. So in this, the seasonal word is yukata. Beautiful night, walking with you, wearing yukata. So just that one word, yukata, which are these Japanese traditional summer garments. It's the summer version of a kimono, if you've heard of kimono. So just that one word, yukata, instantly brings about this idea of summer festivals. Because if you look at it, the poem without yukata, or without the third line. It's beautiful night walking with you. Okay, that's a fairly common idea. But then the turn gives you wearing yukata, which immediately, understanding the context, brings you to the summer festival, which has, traditional drums, the sound of those, the sound of fireworks, the smells of the food grilling on the barbecues, and it's the sound of the cicadas in the trees. It just really captures that moment just in one word. Okay, now let's talk about using translingual and multilingual concepts for style and onomatopoeia for rhetorical purposes. And again, I've used these green arrows to indicate all of the translingualism. So let's just read it and then we'll talk about it a bit more. Childhood snowy day. Open the window. Wow, a cold wind is blowing in. Adults shovel snow. Open the door. White world. Walk on a snowy way. There's footprints left. Good day. Close the school. We play with snow. Snowman. Snowball fight. Kamakura. Take a break at home. We warm up with kotatsu. The sun came out. It is warm. We go out again. What a thing. Toro toro. Everything was gone. The lifespan of snow is short. Snow seems like time. Snow, fall again. We open the window again. Okay, quite a long poem. Let's just talk a little bit about the meaning here. So Kamakura is a children's game, similar to maybe King of the Mountain, or if there's a hill of snow. When you're a child, you and your friends kind of see who's going to be the leader on the top. Okay, snowman, snowball fight, Kamakura. Kotatsu, of course, we already talked about, and toro toro. Okay, actually with Kamakura and kotatsu, the writer is using code meshing for stylistic purposes, just like the previous examples of yukata and kotatsu. But now toro toro it's onomatopoeia. Okay, it means melty or melting, drip, 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 drip. Okay, we say maybe in English maybe drip, 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 and they would say toro toro, toro toro, toro toro. So it's the onomatopoeic sound of water dripping or something dripping. And in my view, it's a better lexical choice than repeating the word melt, 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 or drip, 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 because it is a natural onomatopoeic word in Japanese. And you repeat. In Japanese onomatopoeia, you always repeat the same sound twice. For example, the sound a dog makes when barking, such as woof or ruff, ruff, I don't know. You always say wan, wan. You would say it twice in Japanese. So this is the natural word. And it creates that auditory effect of the dripping sound, the repetition. Toro, toro. Okay, so that's the nature of onomatopoeia, but that's why using that Japanese sound is better than let's just say drip, drip, drip. So talking about translingual onomatopoeia as a phenomenon that's kind of coming from the language classroom. So translingual onomatopoeia is not cross-linguistic onomatopoeia, which is the classic question, do dogs bark differently in different languages? Okay, of course they don't, but the conception of language and the sound of a dog barking is different depending on the language. For example, in English, woof woof, bark, bow wow. Japanese, wan wan or kyan kan, which we've talked about. Hebrew, hav hav, or Spanish, guau guau. Okay, this is not a new concept. Languages have different representations of sounds, okay, even though the sound itself is essentially the same. Okay, but translingual onomatopoeia, how that differs, it's a communication, it's a communicative concept, okay? and it's kind of naturally come about in my L2 poetry course. I did not explicitly teach translingualism. The students did it automatically, and which I find fascinating. Okay, so I am kind of trying to coin the phrase here, saying translingual onomatopoeia, or TLO, it's a multilingual literary effect used for communication. Okay, it is translingual onomatopoeia if it evokes an emotional response in the reader and situates the text in a cultural context, a specific cultural context, by utilizing an onomatopoeic phrase in a language different from the primary language of the text. So in that sense, toro, the primary language of the text is English, but the word is Japanese. The word brings you to a cultural place. It brings you immediately to Japan, and it evokes the emotional response, the dripping sound, and the repetition of it, and however that makes you feel, or especially the sound of snow melting on a childhood day. Maybe it's the sound of kind of the Bildungsroman of moving from childhood into adulthood as the snow melts and the seasons change. Okay, anyways, I digress, but translingual onomatopoeia as a phenomenon then requires two aspects, in my opinion. The word or phrase needs to be onomatopoeic, and it also needs to carry a translingual approach to its linguistic communication. Okay, so in that sense, we have translingual onomatopoeia. Let's look at another example. Okay, I have the two arrows here where the translingualism happens. And this poem is called Summer Vacation, another great poem by the students in my class. And it's about cicadas. So I'm going to play the sound of cicadas in the background while I read the poem to kind of add the effect. So please listen. Okay, we'll let that go. Summer vacation. When I woke up, morning cicadas were singing. Mean, min, 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 me. I slammed the window shut. When I grabbed the pencil to do my book report, sweat broke out on my forehead. I turned on the air conditioner. When I finished my homework, evening cicadas were singing. Kana kana ki 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 ki. I didn't realize it was growing dark. Okay, oops. Come on, go to the next one. So, translingual onomatopoeia analysis. The writer here is making a distinction between morning and evening sounds, different sounds the cicada makes, by using two different translingual onomatopoeic phrases for the same thing, a cicada. Okay, so it's a compositional strategy to show the passage of time, that they make one sound in the morning and one sound in the evening. Okay, it's actually rhetorical and compositional. Okay, also the difference in sound, yes, it's a rhetorical strategy to show the juxtaposition in the writer's kind of emotions. She's very busy in the morning, homework, book reports, but then by the evening, she's more relaxed. Okay, more analysis. Okay, coming from the Japanese language perspective, it's translingualism, and it offers this translingual onomatopoeic approach. Okay, the sound of the cicada in English would probably be buzz or chirp, 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 some sound that an insect would make. Maybe you have a different idea, but that's what I came up with. So if the writer had used English, the Japanese social cultural context would be lost. We wouldn't realize that the poem is taking place in Japan and all of the meaning that comes from that, okay? The phonetic features that encode these cultural conceptions into the poem. It's kind of a multilingual linguistic cultural metaphor. So let's talk about that. The two sounds of the cicada, they are actually not only is it morning and evening, they are two kind of different types of cicadas. And the writer is kind of banking on the reader's knowledge of this, okay? Latent kind of cultural knowledge that maybe someone who is not Japanese, maybe they wouldn't understand this immediately. But the sounds are part of the kind of the cultural cognition of Japanese language users. The higashuri zemi, or the higashuri cicadas, they're the softer sound. And they remind listeners of the Japanese obon. And that's the kind of ki, 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 ki that's happening in the evening. And they could kind of allude to feelings of longing, okay? And it's an emotional tone. And they call at different times of day. And the artist Makoto Aida says that filmmakers can trade on the latent knowledge to evoke certain emotions in viewers. So in this case, poetry, Aida is a filmmaker. The species that people like best is the one that calls when the sun is going down and the day has cooled off, because cicadas are in the summer. They're called higurashi. People feel relieved that the heat has gone down slightly, and it's a little more comfortable. It's a nice feeling. It's the end of the day, the sunset. And the sound appears in films a lot. So a Japanese person will hear that kind of ki, 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 ki. And it's kind of shorthand for this relaxing feeling in the height of summer, maybe summer festivals, sun going down and having drinks and food with your family or loved ones, okay? Now, the morning sound, this harsher min-min cicada, the min-min sound, it's actually called min-min cicada or min-min zemi. So this is onomatopoeic etymology. The name of the cicada comes from the sound that it makes. And it evokes this traditional kind of sound that you would imagine at the height of summer during the day. It's this uncomfortable kind of screeching sound. And it's a bit unnerving. It's uncomfortable if it's really loud and close to you. And it plays on the uncomfortable feelings of the heat at midday in the middle of summer. I don't know if you've been to Japan, but it's a very humid place as well. So it's a bit uncomfortable in the summer. So it kind of reveals, using translingual onomatopoeia here, reveals an almost ethno-linguistic perspective to the reader. Great. So that's the analysis of the poem. Let's talk now pedagogically. When given the space, time, and freedom and scaffolding for something like creative writing, these L2 poets naturally and organically included these translingual approaches in their texts. And they've uncovered this phenomenon of translingual onomatopoeia without my explicit instruction. Secondly, L2 poetry as a genre is ripe for exploring these conceptions of translingual orientations as a pedagogy. Specifically, L2 creative writing pedagogies that can provide opportunities for writers to utilize these cultural, linguistic, compositional, rhetorical tools that they actually always have at their disposal as their L1. So if you can bring some of these concepts in, it opens up a new genre for you here in L2 poetry. And lastly, second language creative writing is often underutilized in language teaching. So there could be scope in this area, narrative research, if you want to explore fiction or creative nonfiction. And specifically, I feel that poetry seems an efficacious practice, pedagogy, for learners to develop agency and identity as L2 users, okay? It also works against the monolingual paradigm. We're running out of time here, but the L1 and the L2 is traditionally seen as interference, as negative transfer. So instead, let's turn it on its head and utilize these L1 concepts as resources, similar to what Kanagaraja claims. And characterizing the L1 as interference has contributed to other negative factors, such as in 1998, although it has been overturned, California limited bilingual education in favor of English-only education. Prop 227, which was overturned, but was a huge deal and affected essentially 20 years of California students. And okay, let's move on. So we don't have time for that. In the conclusion, let's talk about the future. So L2 poetry could be an excellent genre for exploring these conceptions of translingual writing in second language writing. In the course, I did not explicitly teach translingual writing, okay, but it did come about organically. The students naturally use these concepts for different purposes, and Cruzan and Rucker utilize this kind of both and approach to second language writing to include both academic writing conventions and these kind of L1 concepts that can come in that students bring to the table, rhetorical, linguistic, compositional, both and, in order to do service to L2 writers. And this can essentially bring us into our Web.0 future and our multilingual turn, and essentially getting rid of that monolingual paradigm. There's my references. Thank you very much for listening. Please send me an email or make a comment below. You can also download those poetry journals from my website. All right. Thank you. Goodbye.